Mock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Draft.
Here's another one. Let's jump into it. And welcome back to the Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jono.
And I'm your host, Chris. And we're back at it again with another mock draft. We are getting down to the wire here.
Mock. Yeah,
Yeah,
we want to give you guys different looks from different positions. We've already had one request for a 14 team. Bring the requests in. If you want half point, if you want full point, if you want anything like that, we'll bring it to you because we're going to
16 team, 20 team.
Yeah.
We'll do it all.
If you want to do a rookie dynasty draft, which should have already been done anyway, we will still do one of those. But we have our mockathon coming up here where we're going to do a mock draft a day from the different positions. What we did last year, I'd like to do again this year. We start from the ends and we work our way to the middle where Chris and I draft from every single position so you can see what you could do in your draft.
We touch tips.
Yeah, we touch tips.
At the end of the week, we touch tips.
So that being said, why don't we swing over and see what we're looking at here in this 12-team mock draft coming right at you. You got Chris drafting from the 5 spot, and I'm drafting from no man's land 8 spot. We're kind of drafting from those 2 spots where in the second round, that 5 spot's kind of a little bit difficult. In the first round, that 8 spot's a little bit difficult. So we want to give the best view. We want to show you what we can do. We want to show you some of the tricks of the trades and give you our reasoning why we are doing what we're going to do at these different positions.
And I also feel like at the 5 is kind of when you see a lot of shakeups in the draft. I think you start to see the top receivers off the board. Like, what are you doing next? You going with Bijan? You going with Amon-Ra? You going like there's those kind of the back end of the top end receivers, and then you still have Brees, you still have Bijan on the board there.
Yeah,
typically.
And the one thing to me with the 8 spot is you got to see who falls to you, number one. But if it goes chalk for the first 7 picks, it is your choice on who you like here. Yeah, in my opinion,
a lot of it's AJ Brown, Puka, Bijan, Brees. Again, those
Josh
guys.
Allen, like all the. I'm not saying to do that, but I'm just saying those are all up for play at this 8-9 spot.
Yeah, for sure. So let's jump into it, man. Let's get this ball rolling.
All right, let's show me what you got.
CeeDee Lamb, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Justin Jefferson. Here we go, and Tyreek Hill is sitting here at the 5th. So this is again. A lot of guys have been. I've seen Tyreek being the first wide receiver off the board. I've seen Tyreek be the number 2 pick off the board. To get him here at the 5th spot is great. Justin Jefferson goes right before me.
Well, let me ask you. Say Justin Jefferson. Say Tyreek went right before you, and you're sitting at 5, and it's Jefferson, Chase, Bijan, Amon-Ra. Who would you lean towards for our viewers here?
This is a standard league, so that's what we're drafting. If it was PPR, I would go Amon-Ra, St. Brown. If it was regular standard, I would go Tyreek, or I would go. It's tough. It's really close for me between Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I think Jefferson's going to get fed the ball. So
I think both will, but yeah, I think Jefferson's going to get hyper fed.
Yeah, me too. So I'd probably go Justin Jefferson there. But for this pick, for me, I'm going to go Tyreek Hill here.
Tyreek goes, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, and I'm sitting here at 8, looking down the barrel at Bijan Robinson and A.J. Brown. This has been the internal debate in my brain all offseason is who do I have higher in my running back rankings? Who do I think could finish higher in the rankings? Now, you got to put into perspective here, Bijan Robinson rookie season on our Arthur Smith terribly run offense. They didn't hyper-feed him like everybody expected to, which is why he was being drafted. We knew that was going to be the case. We talked about it last year. And even this year, Algier is going to have a foothold on that backup role and have opportunities. Yeah. That being said, I expect Bijan to have more than 2 goal line touches.
Yeah, for sure. I think his touchdown numbers definitely go up, which is why you got to like him.
All his numbers will go up.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take a leap to see like the rookie numbers. Like his rookie last year, everybody was expecting to be Saquon-looking rookie numbers.
Yeah,
and Zeke rookie numbers, and they weren't.
Not here.
No.
Not us.
Not us. So do I have Jonathan Taylor ahead of him? Well, because I'm going to take a running back here at the 8 spot.
Sure.
And do I have Taylor ahead of him? Well, I don't think so because you have a running quarterback in Anthony Richardson. They haven't taken snaps together, and that offensive line isn't as good as it is now. And they have a terrible schedule against rushing defenses. The other one is Saquon Barkley, who I have above Jonathan Taylor in my rankings. Do I like him better than Bijan? Because there is nobody there behind him, and they're not guaranteed to use him. But yes, he has that running quarterback who has the opportunity to do the tush push. Either way, I think Bijan and Saquon can finish closer together. I'm going to take the younger guy. I'm going to take the guy who the sophomore leap is usually where we see these big giant leaps, and give me Bijan all day.
Sure. Jonathan Taylor goes, Saquon Barkley goes, Puka Nacua, A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Drake London.
Oh, my God, this is what I wanted. Sitting atop the ADP. I'm very excited about this. Honestly, there's two players here that I really like, and that's Devontae Adams and Kyren Williams. But the fact that we're in a standard scoring league, touchdowns matter here. Give me Kyren Williams all day.
Yeah.
Give me start on Bijan Kyren. It's going to be a force to be reckoned with in this league.
Yeah.
Now, I got a long wait to come out here, but the drop-off in running back after second round is so big. HN left.
I really wanted to go Tyreek and then HN. I mean, I want a running back here for sure, but Devontae Adams is sitting on the board. And for me, it's coming down to Derrick Henry or Devontae Adams. Now, I very much think I can go a zero running back strategy here and not go with Derrick Henry, but I think that Derrick Henry is just in for a huge freaking year. I mean, look at the numbers he did last year, and he was facing stacked boxes with a terrible quarterback play.
Well, you want the touchdown capital.
You can't do that against Lamar.
No.
And that slight hesitation, I really do think Derrick Henry should be moving up people's draft boards to the back end of the first round. I really think that he could end up being, like, he could be number 2 running back overall.
I don't see number 2, but I see top 5. I think he finishes top 5, in my opinion.
I think he
and
could.
He's being drafted well outside the top 5.
Right. And so I'm going to go Derrick Henry, even though I love Devontae Adams, and I would absolutely love to see him. Devontae Adams goes right after Jacobs, Kels.
Now, someone like Josh Jacobs in an offense that we know is good passing, why don't you like Jacobs over Henry? I understand the Baltimore argument, but is Jacobs somebody that you're passing on because you don't want him, or is Jacobs somebody you're passing on just because the value is better in Henry?
No, I'm taking my top 2 at the board there, which were Henry and Adams at the time. And if I was going to go a running back over Adams, I think I would have rather had Derrick Henry for the touchdown capital. Like, again, we've seen Devonta Freeman and Latavius Murray have multiple, 8 touchdown seasons with the Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, Gus Edwards did it last year.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry is light years above Gus Edwards. So I think that he's just in for a huge season. And early season, there's just Justice Hill.
Yeah.
So until Keaton Mitchell comes back, I don't see him losing a lot of workload. Now, here, my third pick, I'm going to continue on running back. And I think there's a number of guys here. Like, obviously, I'm not going to go Waddle. So it's Nico Collins and then the San Francisco guys. I'm going to go Ayuk, and whether he plays for San Francisco or not, you know what? I'm not going to go Ayuk. I'm going to go Debo because I know it's a sure thing, and I don't have to worry about the headache of if Ayuk goes to Pittsburgh or not.
Yeah, if we watched anything about Pittsburgh's offense yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, Ayuk goes anyway, and Lamar Jackson goes. And I'm sitting here at the 3 spot with a possibility to take Jalen Hurts if I want, possibility to take Pat Mahomes if I want, or I get still a tier above on these wide receivers. The problem is you got Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. I don't love, like, if I'm taking a chance on somebody from that offense, I'd rather take a chance on Tank Dell for those guys.
Okay.
I think Nico is still going to be the wide receiver 1 there. I think Stephon Diggs is going to take the hit we're all expecting. Tank Dell is the big playmaker. He's the big-time guy. Like, you may get more inconsistencies with him, but you're going to have bigger blow-up, week-winning games. But he's not going to be my wide receiver 1. So that leads me to DJ Moore. That leads me to one of the 2 quarterbacks there. And if I decided I wanted to go with a running back, it's really Rachaad White or James Cook. And I don't think I need a running back here. I need to go with my wide receiver 1, and I'm going to go with DJ Moore for my wide receiver 1 here.
Over Nico Collins, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in on C.J. Stroud in that offense. But again, is like, I don't want to be wondering who's going to have that ability to be the guy that week on a week-to-week basis. Maybe it's Diggs 1 week. Maybe it's Tank Dell 1 week. Maybe it's Nico, a couple weeks in a row. Now, with a good passing offense as well in Chicago, I mean, Caleb Williams is showing great things. I just don't – I think Keenan Allen.
I think he's taking
Odunze. But I think Keenan Allen's going to take a step back.
Maybe. I mean, he's a volume play.
You think he's a volume play. Plus, I mean, let's not forget DJ Moore just signed the largest contract in Bears history.
Yes.
Too. So I just want to put the money where the mouth is there. Give it to me.
Your mouth where the money is?
Mouth where the money is. No, I don't want to do that. You got Jalen Waddle going, Nico, Diggs, Neighbors, and Metcalf. I was hoping Neighbors, Mahomes, or Hurts. One of the three would fall to me here, and none of them did. So I'm going to go best value on board, and that's not C.J. Stroud. He is way too early for a fourth round. And it is not Pittman. It is not James Cook. It is the one and only Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So give me Moore and Kupp as my top two receivers, and I'm happy with the first 4 picks of my draft. Mixon and Andrews go after you, so Eminem, Mixon, and Mark.
Yeah, and one of my favorite receivers is still on the board here. I'm going to continue to hammer the receiver position and make sure I have 3 legit guys that I can throw in there every week. And I think Tyreek, Debo, and Michael Pittman are guys that I absolutely love at this position. So,
3 running backs in a row with Walker, Cook, Kamara. C.J. Stroud kicks off the end of the 4th. Devonta Smith, Cooper Kupp, Tank Dell, and then the 3rd tight end off the board with Trey McBride.
Yeah, and so my position here is I already have 3 starting wide receivers. I can go and get Zay Flowers here if I wanted to. I can go get T. Higgins if I wanted to. But I can get Kincaid if I wanted to, which I'm not super sold on him considering the fact that I have Anthony Richardson sitting right here. And I get Michael Pittman, Anthony Richardson connection. I love that.
I do like that stack.
And having that stack and having the rushing upside, you look at the first 5 picks there, and they all have chances of exploding weeks. So I feel comfortable with that.
I'm fine with what just happened there. So to me, here's my thought process going in here. There's 3 players that are on the board that I would really like to put in my pocket if I can.
Sure.
Number 1 is T. Higgins.
Sure.
I think he's going to have a explosive season. It's a contract year, and we know how people play with contract seasons. Sometimes they're the best of their careers. So I'm putting my bet on T. Higgins. I was hoping Aaron Jones would fall to me. That didn't happen, but I still like the fact that Kittle's sitting here and James Conner. So my goal here is I'm going to pass on Kittle. Maybe he falls down to me. There are 4 teams after me that don't have a tight end yet, so the odds of that happening are pretty low, but I'm okay passing up on those tight ends because the wide receiver caliber of T. Higgins and the running back caliber of James Conner are not returning back to me. So it just comes down to the fact that I'm going to try and do a T. Higgins-Joe Burrow connection here in these next 2 picks, and we'll see how this plays out.
Sure.
So give me my 3rd receiver here. Flowers, Pickens, Keenan Allen, Montgomery, Kyle Pitts, Christian Kirk, George Kittle, James Conner. It played right exactly how I wanted it to play out. So I'm going to go with Joe Burrow right here. I want that connection. I want a guy who has an opportunity to throw for 4,500 yards. I can throw for 40 touchdowns. And if he's healthy and his 2 receivers are healthy, that's not even like a plausible, that's a probable finish for the season for him.
Yeah, for sure. So McLaurin goes, Ramondre Stevenson is taken right in front of me.
He was if Burrow went and Connor both went, I was going Stevenson. A volume play in an offense that needs him to do what he needs to do.
And, again, having 3 receivers, having my quarterback, I'm going to go and solidify my last tight end that I have that is in a top tier, which is Evan Engram right here.
Yeah, not a bad option.
I really want Ramondre. He gets taken right in front of me. And I think I can wait on running backs.
Yeah, so we end up afterwards, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, Zamir White, Raheem Mostert. The last bunch of solid running backs are gone here. Murray and Prescott, 2 good mobile quarterbacks. Luckily, you didn't need to pick one up because that would have been the end of them right there.
Yeah.
Jordan Love's still sitting there.
Yeah.
So that would have worked out. So those people in your leagues, if you want that mobile quarterback, if you want that edge of rushing, you really finish it with Kyler Murray. Dak Prescott has the touchdown ability to throw for a ton, but so does Jordan Love, in my opinion. So it's a matter of which offense do you like more. And I'd prefer to go with the younger Jordan Love with the plethora of weapons he has there.
Yeah. So sitting here, again, have 3 receivers, have my quarterback, have my tight end. I need another running back. Najee Harris is the best available on the board. Are there any other running backs that I like more? or just as much. Yeah, but with the Warren injury yesterday, he's probably going to be nursing that injury for a little bit. Najee's a guy that's going to get volume. This offense should be better than it was last year. Not saying that it's going to be great or even startable for a lot of other players, but Najee's going to get volume there. So I'm going to go get Najee as my RB2.
Yeah, and the possibility of running some 12-man offensive snaps with Najee there, having Washington as a second tight end with Freiermuth. A lot of good blocking opportunities there too as well. I like that, and we all know how hamstring injuries can be. The opportunity to re-injure is highly likely within the first couple weeks of returning to, and
Right.
I don't like that for a speedster like Warren.
No.
It drops my stock on him. Rashee Rice is gone. We saw him yesterday in that preseason game getting peppered. He's going to be the number one target for sure for Pat Mahomes, and we'll see how that fares afterwards. I mean, it definitely dropped my stock in Travis Kelce a little bit too as well, because I just think like the outlet's going to be there for Rashee Rice in and out. Jordan Love goes. I didn't need a quarterback anyway. So that leaves me with Xavier Worthy at the top of the ADP, but I got somebody else way above him. And I'd love to take Calvin Ridley here 10 out of 10 times, but this is going to be my 11 out of 10 times because I don't want to lose on the opportunity of getting a difference maker at the tight end position. And I know I just went quarterback, and you've heard me say this rule here before. Do not take quarterback and tight end within the first 5 picks together. Well, I'm not. This is my first 7 picks. And I like what I do with my first 5 picks and my starters. I'm going to go with filling out my starting lineup and get Brock Bowers, a guy that could finish tight end 12 this season, but he has the opportunity and the talent to finish top 7 tight ends too as well. And I like the opportunity. I think this is a difference when looking at him between Kyle Pitts and Brock Bowers. 2 game breaker tight ends coming out of college with high probability of being these difference makers for their teams. Kyle Pitts fell into a good situation with Matt Ryan, bad outcome. I think this is going to be a tough situation, bad situation for Brock Bowers.
I mean, it wasn't a bad outcome. His touchdown capital wasn't there. He only had 1 touchdown, but he had 1,000 yards.
Yeah, bad outcome.
Yeah, he broke 1,000 yards his rookie year.
Okay. Yeah, listen.
For a tight end, that's we only had 1,000-yard tight end last year.
Yeah, I agree. I'm think at the end of the day, Bowers is going to have a better rookie season than in fantasy-wise than Pitts did.
I mean, he might have more touchdowns, but again,
that's what matters.
Mayer's still there.
Yeah.
Devontae's still there. Myers is still there.
Yep. I'm just saying. I like it. Addison goes. Worthy goes. Jonathan Brooks, Brock Purdy, Chris Godwin, Calvin Ridley, Chubb goes, and Njoku. I did like Njoku too as well, but I just don't like the ups and downs or the 3-week streak that you get from Njoku, and then he fades away. And plus, his season last year was not great with Deshaun Watson. So now I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take a shot on guys that I do like. I'm going to go ahead with the rookie Ladd McConkey. I'm going to go back-to-back Georgia boys. I know it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Herbert. I know it's going to be interesting in his offense. But
Second freaking time
somebody gets sniped
in front of me. A running back is taken right in front of me.
But I will say, when Jim Harbaugh comes out and says that Ladd McConkey is a route specialist and like he runs his routes like a pro, he's a stud, you got to take that at face value, and that's what I'm going to do.
So I'm gonna, obviously I'm going to drop down on ADP. There's a couple guys. I know you took Calvin Ridley, right? Did you? No,
I wanted to. But I took Bowers instead.
So I'm gonna go and take the other receiver there, which is D Hop, as my 4th receiver off the board.
I thought you would have went with Brian Thomas there.
I was, but I didn't expect him to go right next to me. I thought I might have a chance for him to swing around.
I didn't think they would make. I didn't think him or Coleman was going to make swing around for you.
Yeah.
Which those of our listeners not watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to it on YouTube and not following along visually, Eckler goes, Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson finishes out the 8th round. Starting in 9th, Devin Singletary, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Warren, Keon Coleman, and Chris is up now. 9th round, 5th pick.
Yeah, I do need another running back. Brian Robinson is
Yeah,
right
he's right
there.
there.
I mean, I'm going to go and take Brian Robinson. There's one other guy there that I would take a shot on, but I think more guaranteed work is set for Brian Robinson than there is for Trey Benson. So I'm going to go and take Brian Robinson here. I would have probably let me say this: if I had another running back, like if I would have taken Zach Moss the round prior, then I would have taken the shot on Trey Benson in that round. But because I'm drafting now my 3rd running back overall, I need a guy that can get me work.
Yeah.
And Brian Robinson's that guy. That's guaranteed.
So I'm going to go with the Trey Benson pick here myself. So he looked good in the preseason game yesterday. The one thing I will say, too, is James Conner has never played a full season. So and he's only getting older. So the recurrence of injury on a season basis for him happens. Even if by end of season he's splitting carries with James Conner, he's a flex play at that point. But if at any point Conner's going to miss a game, he could be a plug-and-play RB2 right away. He looked fantastic. He's one of the most talented guys coming out of college this past year. Give me a little running back insurance in Trey Benson. Finishing out the 9th round went Caleb Williams, Gus Edwards, Tua, and Jameson. Christian Watson, Zeke Elliott, JSN, and Jaden Daniels. So I was hoping Jaden Daniels would fall to me one more round here to back up with Burrow. That way I could flip-flop there. But it is a 1-quarterback league, so you don't necessarily have to take 2. I suggest taking 2 because injuries happen at the quarterback position. It happened in record numbers last year. So if you weren't somebody who can get somebody off the waiver, you don't have to worry about that. I had the Kirk Cousins backup to Justin Fields and was able to ride that, and then I had to go then do the waiver after that because Fields sucked. But give me something here to either back up Bowers is what I'm thinking here, or I'm thinking to add best on board at this point. And if I'm going to back up Bowers, I'm actually kind of inclined to either go with Hawkinson for the late season push for a talented tight end. Don't love players coming off ACL injuries, so I don't know if I want to play that game as much. But you have Goddard and you have Schultz. I'd rather go with Schultz with a higher volume passing offense than go with Goddard, who he needs an injury to one of those two guys or Saquon to really probably have more of an impact like he has in the past. I'm going to get my backup tight end because I'm looking at the players on the board here. Courtland Sutton, good value for my 5th wide receiver, great. Jerome Ford, good value early in the season for my 4th running back. There's other people after him that I like a little bit better. So give me a little Schultz. I lock up my double tight ends. That is the one position I would recommend getting 2 if you're not getting the top 5.
Yeah, and unlike you, I'm not scared of the ACL. I was kind of, before you even made the pick, I was eyeing Hawkinson here. I knew he was probably going to be available for me. I have Evan Engram. I know that. But what TJ Hawkinson can do late in the season and having a guy that you can plug and play into there, we know he's explosive at the tight end position. He would have finished as tight end 1 last year if not for the injury. And to get him in the 10th round as a second tight end, if you're looking at Courtland Sutton and Curtis Samuel and Jerome Ford, yeah, their immediate value is right there. But I'm talking playoff push. My positions are set already.
Well,
so I'm not
I was going to say
a starter at this point.
Those guys' immediate value is there, but their immediate value is a bench player for you at this point.
Right.
So if you're going to get a bench player, why not get somebody who would be a starter for you at the end of the season?
Right. And if anything happened to Engram, I have draft capital that I can trade. I can trade at the second half of the season. If both of them are healthy and both of them are doing well, like I can trade one of them. It's a great trade piece to have when there's a tight end premium, essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Hawkinson right here.
Yeah, that's why I did the Schultz and Bowers. Bowers has a higher ceiling. They both have a similar floor.
Run on tight end that round.
Yeah, good thing you did it. Goddard, Freiermuth, Sutton, Chase Brown go after you. Then Samuel, Trevor Lawrence, Jerome Ford, Tyler Lockett start off the 11th round.
Yeah, and I'm going to go the same concept here at a different position. I have Anthony Richardson coming off of shoulder surgery. I want to back up quarterback, and Justin Herbert is sitting right here for me. I'm going to go ahead and take him.
I think in this draft, I'm going to fade going a double quarterback, and I'm going to now feast on. Let's take a look. I've got 2 solid running backs up top. And then after that, I've got wide receiver heavy, pass catcher heavy. I want to solidify some running back opportunities here. I don't like the soft tissue injury that's so far for Chuba Hubbard. And the fact that they're talking about Jonathan Brooks could be ready to go week 3 or 4 versus week 8 or 9 makes me a little bit more weary on taking someone like that. But I do like this guy right here. And I think Rico Dowdle is going to have a good opportunity to showcase his talents with Dallas. I don't think Zeke is going to be the Zeke of old, and I think Rico is going to have a little bit more flash in the pan than Zeke will have. So give me a little Rico Dowdle, the opportunity, especially Zeke possibly getting injured at some point, over the oft-injured J.K. Dobbins. Now, Jalen Wright was who I was going to pick right here. Be prepared for this to happen, people. You're going to get sniped by your league mates to pick before you, especially if league mates know how you draft. It's going to happen. So that being said, I don't do this that often, and that's hinging my bets. But because I'm so low on running back numbers here, if you look at here, Ty Chandler, not worth the pick here to me. Kendre Miller, he may not even make the team if he stays injured. Marshawn Lloyd, fumbling problems in college, fumbling problems in camp, and he's already injured. I like Antonio Gibson. Kamani Vidal is somebody that I got my eye on that I'm worth taking here, but I feel like he may drop and make his way down to the 13th round for me. So I got to decide, do I like Tyler Algier? Do I want to handcuff my running back? I don't like to handcuff that often. I would do it if I was a hero running back here, but I'm not because I have 2 solid picks back to back. So I'm going to go with the Kamani Vidal pick here in the chance that he overtakes this role by midseason as a better running back than Gus Edwards.
Well, that's fine. If you don't want him, I'm going to take him.
I know you want Algier.
I'm going to go and get my 4th running back. Tyler Algier is a great backup to have. Again, if anything happens to Bijan, you're going to have an RB2 on your team. But even I think he has standalone value outside of an injury from Bijan. He's a good plug-and-play guy that I can, if I was dealing with an injury or a bye week, like I can play him and have confidence there. And again, the way my team is kind of formatted, I have 3 receivers that I'm going to throw into my flex. So I'm not too worried. I have 2 running backs that I can put in there and sustain my season. The other guy I like there is Mike Williams, and he goes the pick right after, but it was either Algier or Williams for me. With my last pick in the draft here, I have Williams, Palmer, Cooks, Rodgers, Judy, Gabe Davis, Stafford, Ty Chandler. With my last pick in the draft, I am going to go a wide receiver. And there's 2 guys that are at the top of this list that I really, really like, Jahan Dotson and Jalen Polk. I think Jalen Polk is going to be a volume guy this year. I do like the Jahan Dotson, though, and I think that he is going to break out this season. He's one of my biggest breakout candidates. Now that he has Jaden Daniels, I think Jaden Daniels changes the dynamic of this offense. Jahan Dotson has been a guy that they've targeted downfield. He's been a guy that can make those plays, and I think his numbers just skyrocket. So I'm going to go Jahan Dotson with my last pick.
So Josh Downs, Kendre Miller go, and sitting there is Jalen Polk, and sitting there is Troy Franklin. And you also have running backs like Antonio Gibson that's still there, Jaleel McLaughlin. To me, is like, I don't love the Patriots offense in terms of the passing game. I don't know what it's going to be like. Do I think Polk is probably the most talented receiver on that offense? Yeah, I think he is. Do I think Baker is going to carve out a role, deep threat? Yeah, he is. But is somebody going to be able to get him the ball effectively? I don't know. Troy Franklin, I think him and Bo Nix will have a connection this year. It's just a matter of when is the coaching staff going to be ready to see that, because we haven't seen it this preseason yet. But again, we don't know. But I think Bo Nix is going to be the starter there. I'd like to take a shot on that, but I'm going to change it up. There's a guy I really like, and we're going to do a sleepers episode. And this guy may be a deep sleeper in my opinion. And by sleeper, we're not saying this guy's going to be a starter on the offense, but this is it's not on your starting offense. But the number 2 in Atlanta, Kirk Cousins has been able to sustain 2 wide receivers, plenty during the seasons. All right. We know that Kyle Pitts is probably going to be the number 2 pass catcher, just like Hawkinson was for Kirk Cousins. and we know the number one is going to be Drake London, just like Jefferson was. Mooney's going to have an opportunity here. He's already shown the rapport. He was asked to be brought over, and same thing with Rondell Moore for Kirk Cousins. Well, Rondell Moore is out for the season.
Yes.
So somebody's going to have to step up in a high-volume passing offense. And if you equate anything to the way Kirk Cousins has done it, I know everybody wants Bijan to be the guy that's going to get a bunch of these receptions, but Kirk Cousins has only had 2 seasons of running backs having 50-plus receptions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of them was Dalvin Cook. Or Dalvin Cook was not one of them, I mean. So you got to look back at the history of what Kirk Cousins does. He's a downfield passer. Mooney's a downfield receiver. He's going to have opportunities where he's not getting top coverage. He was a 1,000-yard receiver at one point in Chicago.
Yeah.
And do I think last year would have been a little bit better had Justin Fields been able to throw a good deep ball? Possibly. He overthrew him like 5 or 6 times and wide open opportunities. But again, when I say deep sleeper, it's a guy that he could have flex appeal on week to week. He's not going to be a wide receiver 2 on week to week. An injury needs to happen, and even if that does happen, it's not guaranteed that he's going to reap the benefits. But if you're looking for bench depth in a offense that should be high volume passing and a better scoring offense, especially with the fact that this defense is loaded.
See, I just don't think that they're going to be high volume passing. I think that they're going to try to run the ball a lot.
I think they're going to run the ball effectively a lot, and I think they're going to pass plenty too as well. I think they're going to
pass just fine. I just don't think that it's going to be like Minnesota.
I think it can be like Minnesota with Dalvin Cook. Not Dalvin's last season, but with Dalvin Cook.
I don't see that. I think you have 2 weapons at running back. You only have really one above average wide receiver on that team. You have a tight end that's been disappointing since he's been in the league. You have Kirk Cousins coming off an injury. They're probably going to protect him for a later season run. You're probably going to see a lot of handoffs.
I don't disagree.
Drop offs.
I don't disagree. But I'm saying
I don't see this offense spraying the ball out, and Drake London is not Justin Jefferson. So
100%. So that's why I'm saying it's not going to be a hyper targeted situation for Drake London.
But it's also not going to be as dynamic of an offense as it was in Minnesota. You don't have the same type of playmakers. You don't have guys that can stretch the field and can make huge plays with you.
Agreed.
So, I'm not disagreeing with your pick. It's the last pick in the draft. You throw
no,
a dart. Yeah,
I throw a dart throw.
I just think I could
see
darts out.
I could see someone like Darnell Mooney having a more consistent season than a Jalen Polk with a quarterback that could have better consistency when defenses have to respect the run as well.
See, I think this
play action opportunities, things are going to be there versus why wouldn't you just try and stop Ramondre Stevenson and make these teams try and throw against you for the Patriots? And same thing goes with Troy Franklin is it's tough to have rookie receivers come out and blow up like that. We've seen more and more in the past couple seasons, but it's really not a big chunk of them all here. You see some of these veterans receivers that change a team and go to a better opportunity for them, and all of a sudden they have a spark. And again, like I said, he's flex appeal to me. He's not if he has to break into that wide receiver 2 category, he has to have the touchdown potential that you were seeing from Jordan Addison on a week-to-week basis.
My question on these dart throws, especially later in the draft, you can scroll up and we can kind of go over the teams.
Yeah, start with your team and then we can talk about.
I want to touch on your team because we're on this topic. So if you're looking at team construction, you have DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Ladd McConkey, right? So Mooney is really not going to crack in. So if you're looking at that end, what my thought process is, I'd rather take a guy at the end that has a chance to explode and end up being in the top 20 wide receiver conversation. And for Mooney,
from a 13th round player, who?
I mean, Tank Dell was that for 14th round
pick.
That's
true.
For me last year.
I guess you could say Josh Downs has an opportunity to do that.
Josh Downs does. I think Polk does. I think Polk has.
I don't think he has a chance to be top 20.
I think he has a better chance of being top 20 than Darnell Mooney does.
Okay, I'll give you that.
That's where I'm looking at. All right, value wise, it's do I like the offense better for sure? But do I like if I know we think that the Patriots are going to be awful, and I think that they are going to be awful. But they're going to be down against the Jets twice a year. They're going to be down against the Miami twice a year. They're going to be down against the Bills twice a year. They're going to have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And we all think that it's going to be Jacoby Brissett to start the season, not Drake May.
I really hope it's not.
But if it is, they're going to rely on guys who can get open and be playmakers. And Polk has shown that in the preseason so far. Polk is a guy that can be a heavy volume targeted guy.
Well,
so in terms of opportunity, I like Polk a lot more.
Well, here's my the way I went with Mooney is my way I wanted to do it in this draft was, do I want a guy that's going to have an opportunity to be on my bench and have week winning capability for 3 or 4 weeks on the season? Or do I want a guy that's going to give me consistency if I do have an injury
but he's
and a bye
be,
week?
But he's going to be on your bench, and you're not going to start him.
I am. And if I need in a bye week or with injury, do I want somebody that's going to give me consistent numbers that I can rely on? Say like, okay, I'm going to get 8 points from Darnell Mooney.
Do you think that's like, that you think 80 yards or a touchdown in 20 is a consistent number for him all season
on a game to game basis? I think for him to get 6 to 8 points every single week,
I view him as Rashid Shaheed or
I don't think so.
A downgrade from those guys where they can have absolute blow up weeks and do nothing.
See, I see differently in this offense he's going to.
So he's not a red zone target. He's not going to be he's a deep ball play at best.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If he gets 6 targets.
I don't think he's getting 6 targets a game, though.
5-6 targets, and he catches.
I think he's getting 3-4
balls.
targets a game.
All right. Well, we'll see. The way I'm projecting him out is to get more targets than that on a more consistent basis because there's nobody else to catch the ball there. It's the 2 guys we know are on the outside.
Bring in Michael Thomas.
We would have seen it already. So anyway, I started off my draft at the 8th spot, kind of like a no man's land. That's tough. But Bijan fell to me at that 8th spot, and I couldn't have been happier there. Again, we started the conversation about, is Taylor or Barkley higher up at mine? It doesn't matter. Give me the sophomore surge from Bijan Robinson. In the second round, Kyron Williams fell to me too. So 8th spot is the perfect opportunity to take what falls to you. Take the value that falls. Had he not been there, it would have been between him and Davante Adams. I do like Henry a lot too as well. But I probably would have went Davante Adams to start with my wide receiver 1 there. I then went DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins. 3 guys in a row. Again, value fell. DJ Moore was taken. It was after Brandon Ayuk. I liked him better than Waddle and Collins at the time. Cooper Kupp fell too as well. And then T. Higgins fell to me in that 5th round, which is insane to me. Afterwards, I saw the Burrow opportunity to grab one of the top quarterbacks, a guy who could throw for 4,540, and that was right behind the T. Higgins connection. I wanted a tight end, so I took Brock Bowers in the 7th. Njoku was on my board as well, but I didn't know if either one of them would have gotten back to me. I wanted the upside of the rookie. And I happened to go with Ladd McConkey in the next pick afterwards for back-to-back Georgia players. I did like the Hopkins pick by Chris after this, and I liked Brian Thomas. I wanted a more sure shot at that in terms of target value and opportunity on a week-to-week basis, and that was with McConkey. Brian Thomas was the other one I would have taken there. Afterwards, I said, I need running backs. I only have 2. Give me Trey Benson. Give me Rico Dowdle. Give me Kamani Vidal. Upside in Dowdle and Vidal. Benson, again, we know that Connor has not played full seasons at all. Like, yeah, he's had a 16-game season or a 15-game season, but he's had 13-game seasons. And if anything happens to him, Trey Benson is a viable option as an RB2 right in your lineup, as a flex play in my situation too as well, based on matchups. Dalton Schultz to back up Bowers for the floor opportunity there if Bowers starts off slow. And then I went with my deep sleeper of the season in Darnell Mooney.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, the number 5 pick is another position where you can let value just fall to you. Tyreek doesn't get drafted. He's sitting there for me at 5. I'm going to hit that button 10 times out of 10 times. So get Tyreek in the first, swing around. I was really caught in the decision whether I wanted Derrick Henry or Davante Adams. I think both their value fell. I mean, Derrick Henry I've been seeing going around that area. Davante Adams, I think both of those guys should be much higher on the board. I think they both have opportunity to end up as top 5 at their position. So I went with Derrick Henry because I went with Tyreek Hill in the first. I think that there's a big fall off after Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs from everyone else. So if I was going to go a running back early, those are the guys that I was kind of targeting. I really wanted Achane to drop down there because I was just going to do a Miami stack. But after Derrick Henry, go and stack 2 more receivers with Deebo Samuel and Michael Pittman. Get my quarterback with Anthony Richardson with a nice stack in Indianapolis. Get Evan Ingram as my tight end 1. At that point, I'm looking. I have my 3 wide receivers. I have a running back. I have my quarterback. I have my tight end. I need to go get some running back depth. Najee Harris is the best available. When got Najee Harris there, followed up with D Hop and then Brian Robinson for another volume play at the running back position. Then I started going, some backup stacks. I went quarterback, tight end, then tight end, quarterback, back-to-back rounds twice in this draft. So go T.J. Hawkinson. I think he has explosive upside second half of the season there. So getting him and securing the tight end position for the year, totally okay and happy with that. Get Justin Herbert to back up Anthony Richardson just because of the injury history from Richardson. I don't want to be caught in the that no man's land of I don't
waivers,
have
going for waivers.
Yeah.
Especially with people like Cousins and Stafford going off the board in these rounds.
Yeah. I mean, Goff is still available. I would have loved.
Goff's not. He's up there.
Oh, Goff.
Yeah, Goff went early, round 9.
Round 9 he did.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like the fall off.
Yeah, there he is.
It's pretty much Baker that's left here.
Yeah, Baker.
Darnold.
So what I was really looking to do is get Jaden Daniels, where I took T.J. Hawkinson, and he went earlier. So I was going to get Jaden Daniels as my backup. Went to get Justin Herbert anyway, and then solidified the end of my draft with Tyler Algier and Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson, one of my breakout candidates this year. I didn't list him as a sleeper, although he is in the sleeper drafting position where he's being drafted as ADP. But I think he's going to absolutely break out this year. He has the opportunity with Jaden Daniels to really take the next step forward. He's a dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands.
He was a first-round draft pick, too.
Yeah. So getting him in the 13th round is great value as my 5th receiver.
Now, what I will say, too, is what Chris did with the double stack of the quarterback and tight end, know what your roster limits are and know what your roster construction is going to be. But even in a situation where it's one quarterback starting and one tight end starting, what Chris did is if you look at his roster construction leading up to that, he knew that in that 10th and 11th round, I'm drafting bench players anyway because my starters and my skill positions are filled. 3 running back opportunities, 4 wide receiver opportunities, the tight end, the quarterback. But if you look at the tight end spot, it's the most variable in terms of points. And at the quarterback spot with Anthony Richardson's injury history, you hinge your bets and say, I'm okay dropping bench depth at a skill position for these 2 picks, knowing that if anything happened to these guys, I have the backup and I'm not scouring the waivers at that point and dropping bench depth anyway. Or in this case of Hawkinson is I have a premier starter at a tight end that can come in at halfway through the season. And then I also have a solid bye week starter in Justin Herbert along with injury, hinging my bets with Anthony Richardson with the injuries that he's had. Because at the end of the day, nothing's worse than oh, look how great my bench is. Like, I have so much depth on my team. And then you have the quarterback position, which you only have one of, go down, and then you're having to either make a trade and get rid of your bench depth already, or you're scouring the waiver wire.
Well, that's my point is, like, the way my team is constructed, let's see who went after Justin Herbert. All right, if I take 2 tight ends, fine. I've done that in the past. But 2 quarterbacks, a lot of people are afraid to do that. But where I'm getting Justin Herbert, the position I would have probably drafted is a running back. So I'm missing out on Rico Dowdle or J.K. Dobbins or Chuba Hubbard, which are those guys realistically going to start over Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, and Brian Robinson for me?
No, absolutely not.
But
unless
if Anthony,
Dowdle all of a sudden is something.
Right. But if Anthony Richardson goes down, my team is shot. Because I'm going to go and get Baker.
On a week-to-week basis, you have to go get Baker. You have to go get Darnold. You have to go get flyers on these guys.
And those
or
guys,
Wilson or
right. And those guys can do well. Don't get me wrong. But like, I'd rather have a sure shot with a backup that I'm drafting and I know is going to be at least in an offense. We don't know really what the wide receiver core is going to be there, but we know what Justin Herbert is. You know that there's a rushing floor for him. We know that there is a high ceiling for what he can do as a passer.
And I think you're going to see you're going to see better numbers than last year because I think once they implement the run game here and the play actions there, they lost all run game last year and play action ability because they had to run everything through the shotgun because of that broken finger, and it just ruined Eckler's season. The only person who didn't ruin was Keenan Allen's.
Yeah.
But everybody else's season was ruined.
Yeah.
So that's it here for our mock draft. We're going to continue to bring them back to you over and over again. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification button right underneath Chris there. Get that bell so you get all the updates as we come. We're going to give a quick little highlight coming up here for injury news at this point in the preseason week 2 going into week 3. And we'll highlight our studs and duds from preseason week 2, anything that was worth highlighting for you going into these drafts. So keep sending your suggestions. Keep letting us know what you want to see so that we can give you the best edge in your fantasy drafts against your league mates. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.